Profile is presented by INS Group, Insurance and Benefits. Hi, I'm Greg Scheinman, and this is Profile. On the program today, Monica Pope, chef and co-owner, Tafia Restaurant. Who is Monica Pope?
Now I'd like to say I'm just mommy. I did a show recently and my daughter was trying to understand. I had to leave and go do this thing, and she woke up and she says, "Mommy, is it hard being a celebrity and a mommy?" And I said, "Yeah, because I just want to be a mommy." But I have this sort of celebrity status, local celebrity status. I mean, it really is weird because I forget, but then I go out, walk around, and people are like, I mean, granted, I sometimes give myself away, but I had a woman, I just walked into this other restaurant that was having a birthday party, and this woman walked out and she came back in and she went, "Who are you?" And I said, "Monica." And she goes, "Pope." She goes, and I was just like, damn, but very, very wonderful and thankful, appreciative of what I do and everything. So I know that's up there, but I'm really just a person who came home after a long time away. I grew up in Southwest Houston and then Memorial. My parents, were art collectors. They were professionals. My mother was a church organist for some 45 years. My father, a lawyer. We didn't have vacation homes and lots of cars and travel a bunch. We were a big family of 6, and I swam all my life. And so, I kind of feel like I was underwater and not on land, really. And when I was a teenager, I sort of wanted to reconnect with my family. It was at a time when I was afraid to be an artist. My parents were art collectors. I was the artistic one, but I was afraid I didn't think I had anything to say. I also didn't think that lifestyle would be very good for me because I felt I might be holed away in a studio and I might be alone, I might be depressed, all these things. It's like I've done the exact opposite, thrown myself into the food world and all the dynamics of that, whether it's a woman in the kitchen or all over the world and hot and heavy things and all this stuff, and having to be a little bit louder than I was very shy. And so I just kind of came out of my shell, but my parents afforded me all sorts of wonderful opportunities in terms of art, in terms of swimming. I mean, they said, do what you do what you want to do, and we'll take you there, we'll drive you there, we'll connect you with the things. But ultimately, I learned then how to connect to what I wanted to connect to when I wanted to become a chef and have a restaurant. And this is what I want to teach my child, is you can go anywhere, you can walk into any place and say, I'm here to do X, or I'd like to learn to do X, and give it a shot.
When did you decide that it was going to be cooking, that being a chef was...
17. I worked with my grandmother. She made a lot of baked goods, Czechoslovakian stuff, makavish, shishki, kolaches, all this stuff. And so my first kind of foray into cooking was like breads and my grandmother, and just kind of like this, generations of cooking. She didn't have a huge repertoire, but it was about to become extinct on some level because it was the 70s, and she was going to go the fast, easy, and cheap route. She didn't want to cook anymore she had to cook for her family when her mother died, and it was like 13 kids. She cooked for all the grandkids. There's like 28 of us, so it's like she was just like done, and so I kind of snatched what I could get from her then, and then decided then that I was going to, for me it was the Great American Restaurant, I wanted to open the Great American Restaurant, and I didn't know what it was. I would write little concepts of different things, little ideas, and then I just traveled and cooked and kind of obsessed about this dream of opening a restaurant and what that eventually would look like, and then did it, 10 years later, which was like 20 years ago.
How did the farmers market get started here?
2 women started the Houston Farmers Market, I guess 8 or 9 years ago, and right around that time they approached me about coming to do something. I came over here, and then one of my farmers said, "Monica, you're not open during the day, I was just doing Tuesday through Saturday night, we can do a market here. Y'all can be inside, which is where the prepared guys are, that's why they're inside. And then, you know, the farmers can be out here. I thought she was going to procrastinate for like, you know, 10 years or so, but she didn't. And so a week after I did Tafia, the Midtown Farmers Market was certified as a farmers market and started here. And we haven't stopped because in the end, it wasn't a business plan by any means, but, you know, being open to what you believe in and what seems to make sense and being a part of just caused this concept of eat where your food lives to just sort of make sense to people.
Where did this passion for local, you know, eat where your food lives, really come from?
I swam all my life, and when I stopped swimming, I started to want to cook healthier for myself. I wanted to cook for my family. I actually wanted to have dinner at a dinner table instead of out of the microwave, which is where my dinner came, you know, after my second workout of the day. And part of that, again, you know, you look back and you kind of can piece it together, but I also, my grandmother's in Kansas and she did some really special stuff. She's Czechoslovakian. I wanted to carry on those food traditions. So when I was 17 and then 18, I went and worked with her in the summer and all this stuff. But in the end, when I said what I was going to do, I said, I'm going to open a restaurant. When I was 17, I'm going to open a restaurant, I'm going to change the way Houston eats. I didn't know what it meant then. And I didn't know what it meant for a long time. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I've been cooking for about 30 years. But the reality is it's like something like Alice Waters. Those were some of my first cookbooks. You know, by the time I had traveled around the world, I ended up in San Francisco and then was able to experience Alice Waters for the first time. It was all through books, and then I traveled and I was cooking everywhere. But then I came to San Francisco, it's like, oh. And then my parents called and said the recession's over. I came back to Houston, I opened a restaurant, and I've fumbled along for years, but it's never been just about cooking for people. It's always been about something else. I wanted to be a chef in Houston, doing Houston food, real, you know, from here. 20 years ago, I was the Alice Waters of the Third Coast. I was like, I don't want to be Alice Waters, and I want to be from the Third Coast, but I want to be Monica Pope, and I want to be doing food that's from here. I want somebody to come from San Francisco, which they do, and go, this is Houston. It's like, well, this is Houston. This is part of Houston. You go down the street and experience a different Houston, but this is actually Houston. And they don't realize it exists, you know?
Are these your vendors also? I mean, how much does this food make it into your kitchen?
Yeah,
and if we walk around and we look at what we've...
So Joe is my, he's not here right now, but Joe's my catering chef, my forager, my Mr. Fix-It guy. So he goes out to Brenham, which is not, you know, 90 miles or something, and we represent about 20 different farmers.
But you can walk outside the door.
And then we have Emile Street, we have Lola, yeah.
You can walk outside the door of your own restaurant.
Oh, absolutely.
And look at everything that you want.
Absolutely, or I can take what's left over, beautiful baby kale and little dandelion greens and all sorts of stuff. Ultra, ultra fresh. I mean, some of the farmers are like, oh, we just harvested last night at midnight, and you know, it's never seen a refrigerator. And then I get it, and then often the farmers would come up to me and say, do you want this, Monica? Because it's just going to go to the goats at this point. And I'm like, oh, sure, just leave it, you know. And so suddenly have to deal with all this wonderful stuff, but I have to deal with it. I have to somehow get it into my menu. You know, whether it's a local market tasting, sometimes I have, you know, tons of greens. Okay, what are we going to do?
Sure.
So suddenly I'm cooking in a different way because all this stuff's coming to me. That's about right. Lily, you need to. Okay, stop. Okay, come over here. The family works here. They don't steal the limelight. Okay. Yeah.